Hi, welcome to Dice Control Dojo. I'm Phil and I practice every day and share my tips so we can all get better at the casino. Today we're talking about recognition and analysis. I'm setting up a series on every day we're going to talk about different parts of the throw on how it's going, how you can look at it and see what's wrong with it and hopefully be able to correct it. We're going to get a deep dive as opposed to my last series of videos before vacation where we were analyzing the throw on how to do it and what you're doing. This is the after part. After you've been practicing for a while, you got to start analyzing and recognizing what's going wrong and how you can fix it. Okay? Otherwise, coaching, mentoring, anything, if you can't recognize what's going on by yourself or through mentors or through coaching, you're not going to be able to fix yourself. So in this series, we're going to analyze each part of it. We're going to break it down and we're going to look at when you recognize something that's going on, how do you fix it? More importantly, as we get closer to Vegas, do you fix it while you're practicing? How do you fix it while you're practicing? And then how do you fix it when you're on a live table? And should you? That's going to be a good debate going forward because sometimes overcorrecting at a casino is probably worse than if you just keep going back to basics. And you'll see that in the video. We're going to talk back to basics on a constant basis. So what are we going to be looking for? In our series, the next three parts that I'm showing next is going to be analysis of the different parts of the toss. Okay, so once we've done the grab it from the dealer, and I've talked about this 100 times, look at some other videos, and then we're gripping, right? We're bringing it over, right? And we're relaxing before we throw. We're picking our target zone. And this is something I repeat every single day, all day. And we throw it. Well, let's analyze that throw for a second. So in part one of our analysis, we're just going to be looking at what the dice are doing in the air. Okay, I've talked about this before, but we're going to get a deep dive into it. And in the first part of the series is just the air. So I'm going to go over the three parts of analysis. The in the air throw, in the air, what's going on in the air, right? So when the dice are in the air, and are they going across, then the second part will be when they land. How do they land? Okay? What does that look like? How are they landing? And then the last part of it is what the dice do after it lands. So, once the dice are in the air and they're doing a nice spin, they hit the table down. Did they hit together? Did they split? What did they do? Hit the back wall and come down. Then what do they do? Do they go this way, this way? Do they go back together? So in our series, we're going to talk about each part of this, okay? Each part of the dice and why I'm doing that. If you remember when we're talking, just on my throw, and it may not be the way you do it. So I want to cover every possible facet of how you throw a dice and relate it to how I'm doing it. So if you're seeing my part, right, I have the same process over and over and over, right? So once it's here and it leaves the air, right? Some people like to watch it in the air. And when you're practicing, sometimes you're looking and you can tell what the dice are doing while you're in the air. Okay, so then that way you can make adjustments based on that, right? I don't like that. I know I see it in the corner of my eye and you may be able to do it. But when I'm throwing, remember, I'm looking at a target down there. So when I'm grabbing these dice, once they're set and I'm looking, I'm concentrating on that landing zone. I'm not seeing what the dice are doing in the air. right? I'm not looking at that. I'm looking at that landing zone, and I'm seeing if my dice hit that. But not everybody does it that way, so that's okay. We're going to take the first part, analyzing what the dice are doing in the air. Now you can do this also because, as I say every time, you can always videotape yourself, just like I'm doing here. And I can reanalyze what happened once I throw the dice. So if I videotape a bunch of my throws, I'm looking at what's in the air so I can see how the dice are reacting in the air. And there's different things we're going to look at. The arc, right? The backspin. How much spin is it? Too much spin? Not enough spin? Are they separating in the air? So in the air, are they separating apart? One ahead of the other, one ahead of the other? Are they going to the left, to the right? This is what the first part of our analysis is, what's in the air. Our second part of our video is going to be when they land, okay? One, when they land together, they kind of indicate what your throw is like. So when they're coming and they're spinning, did they land together? All right. Did they land with one hitting the back wall before the other? One got there ahead of time. Did they split? Did they land and hit? The landing part of that is a whole nother thing. Did you hit your target? Were you off to the left, to the right? We're going to analyze what those dice do when they land. Then the third part is, like I was just saying, do they split? Do they all go to the left? Do they all go to the right? So these 3 different videos are going to explain the different parts of that. Then we're going to digest and analyze, recognize, and fix each part. What is causing the cause of each of those errors? So there's something really important when we're talking about dice control. And as I'm throwing 100 of these practice videos together, is I'm noticing the last part of this series of recognize and analysis is you are probably have multiple errors, okay? It's not just one error that's causing it. So when I was throwing it, if they split off at the beginning and one's ahead of the other, was it the pressure of your fingers? Was your shoulder not throwing it correctly? It could have been a multiple of factors. And then that's at the end of my series, we're going to discuss that. How do you attack multiple issues, especially at the practice table, and especially if you're on the table in a casino? And we gotta break that down. What do you do? How do you get back to basics? What does that look like? And if you have a plan on what you're going to do, it's going to make your life easier. So in this series, hopefully you pick up just a little bit of something that I talk about so that you can help yourself to adapt and change. And hopefully you learn something very interesting and informative so that when you get to that casino, you're ready to go and you can do it. When we were talking about your mental game, part of the mental game and part of your practice isn't just about the throw, right? It's got to practice with the lights and the glitz and the glimmer, and you got to have music on, things cranking when you're practicing. You can't be quiet and concentrated and take your time. Sometimes you got to practice, like live practice. Get to a casino and practice a little bit on a table. And we'll talk a lot about that when we get 30 days into Vegas, because then we're stepping it up a notch. When I'm within 30 days, now I'm doing double sessions. I'm doing a lot more work. I'm making sure we're getting there. And of course, with 10 days to go in my video, I'm going to start doing my 36 throws every day to count that 360 and see at the end if this 90 days got my SRR up, and is that going to help when we go to Vegas? Who knows? So hopefully you join me when we talk about analyzing tomorrow, the next 3 days, and then how to fix each and every part of the error that I throw. So, as with all my videos, I'm back in my house, back from vacation, excited to get back to work and get things going and get ready to throw on my table so I can get to Vegas. And of course, I love the fact that my best betting strategy is to practice for a long time so you can throw for a long time.